Somebody else has got some strength. Epic Games, Jeff. Some strength in that.
Oh, this is I heard about this.
So Epic and Apple, and in a weird way, Google as well, to a similar degree, are in kind of a three-way slap fight for which billion-dollar company people want to care about more. And by billion, I mean Apple's what, $2 trillion now, so billion doesn't even apply to them anymore. So how this all happened was, and I'm sure some people have got the gist of it, but we'll run over it a bit, or go over it a bit here. So, as most people would know, Google and Apple both have, I think, the same cut on their Play Store for video games and similar apps. It's a 30% cut and of revenue earned, which is pretty fucking steep. But when you consider that there's really nowhere else to go, they can ask for 30%, and it just doesn't matter. You don't really get much of a choice. You either get on their platform and get exposed to a shitload of people and users that are used to using and spending money on that platform, or you don't. And that's pretty much the only thing you can do. On Android, you can sideload apps, but that's for like power users, meaning somebody who's like more tech savvy. Gamers are probably in that group, like us, for example. But for the average person, and by the average person, I mean even average person that plays mobile games, sideloading is not something that a lot of people are going to be comfortable with. They're going to be concerned about malware, or they'll be concerned that they're getting the wrong file, or they'll think it's not legit in some other way, or it's just too much work. They just want to go to the Play Store, go to the iOS store, find the thing, download it, done. They don't want to have to like go through the process of installing something sideloaded in the Android environment even. So 30% on both. Epic was looking at that and looking at the money that they make with Fortnite, Fortnite Mobile specifically, of course, and said, you know what? We make a lot of money with this game, but we could be making a lot more. Specifically, we could be making 30% more if we did some things. So they went ahead and they were like, all right, how could we get around this and entice people to use this to make more money and to step away from being used to just spending money that's going to go to Apple or Google? And what they did is that they introduced credit card and PayPal payments for V-Bucks on their mobile games, which when you use those payment processing features on their app, it bypasses the backend for Apple and Google that would get the 30% cut and everything, and it goes everything instead to Epic. Taking that a step further to entice people to actually make use of those features, they included a 20% discount.
Ooh.
Buying V-Bucks through those two methods specifically. So they'd be making 10%, right? So if you got it through the normal means, you were paying full price. If you were going to pay it through those two means, 20% discount. So they're 10% to the good, and there's no middleman involved. It's going straight to them. So they go ahead and do that. Of course, immediately, Apple goes, no, you can't do that. That's against the terms of service as a developer and a publisher on the platform that everyone has to follow. So we have to do something about that. So what do? They take it off of the iOS store. They don't shut it all down and go nuclear, meaning they don't block the app from people using on their phones or whatever. So if you already have it installed, you can still play it. You can even still buy the V-Bucks through Epic's means or the iOS store, the App Store means. It's just that there are no new people going to be able to download that through the App Store. And so they did that, and they said, sorry guys, you can't be doing that shit. So until you no longer do that, you're not on the store. Okay, so what happens next? Well, Epic was ready for this. In fact, the way that this all happened...
Oh, they set it up, bro.
They knew exactly what they were doing. They baited the fuck out of Apple and Google both.
Yep.
Because not long after Apple did that, Google also removed them from the Play Store. Now, Google, with Android, it's an open operating system, so there are multiple storefronts, whatever, people can get, you can sideload, do whatever, but from Google's Play Store specifically, they took it down for the same reasons. Epic was ready for that shit. They orchestrated that. They knew they were going to do that, and they wanted them to so they could do the following. They sued them.
Yep.
They opened up a lawsuit immediately, in record timing, to the point where it was impossible for them to not have already drafted the legal documents and were just waiting for that reaction so that they could serve those documents. And that's exactly what they did. So they served the documents to them and said, hey guys, go fuck yourself, and this is why. We're going to say that you guys are monopolistic in the mobile ecosystem, and that 30% is way too much to be asking for the services you are providing, and you're abusing your agency in the market to be able or to charge those prices. Further separating the money that the end user is thinking when they buy a game, thinking that that money is going to the developer of the game. Instead, 30% of it is going to you guys instead of the developer of the game. So, what makes the timing of that even more appropriate and definitely orchestrated is the fact that that both Apple and Google are currently under investigation by the U.S. government and the European Union for antitrust or anti-monopolistic tendencies, or being monopolistic. So, so they know that they already have both of those jurisdictions interested in these two companies, and they're leveraging that, jumping on that, targeting that specifically, baited them with this, and all of this seems to be in a movement to try and get the Epic Games launcher onto these platforms, bypassing the stores so that there's no middleman, and Epic can get all the money from their games that they have on their launcher on those mobile devices. Look, here's the reality of this as it stands. We have no idea if the consumer who Epic claims to be backing here stands to gain anything from this situation. What's made it worse is that by doing what Epic did, which included, by the way, spoofing an old Apple ad from the 80s about 1984, and basically weaponizing a bunch of fucking children on Fortnite on social media to back them against this effort and kind of make them anti-Google, anti-Apple in this weird fucking, like, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, because Epic knows who plays their games. They put this ad in that they wouldn't know the reference to. They would never understand it in a million years. But it's literally some weird fucking, it's literally weaponizing kids, essentially, is what it is.
They're going to war, man.
They're going to war.
They're going to war.
They're going to fucking war. So, but whether or not those kids will actually benefit in any way, shape, or form from this remains to be seen, because ultimately, like I said before, these are two massive, wealthy companies, three technically with Google, in a slap fight for who is going to get the court of public opinion as the underdog. Here's the reality: nobody's the underdog. They're all fucking massive. They are all able to stand on their own. They all make bajillions of dollars every month. And nobody really wins this from the consumer side. This is literally just a bunch of companies in a pissing match to see who is going to take home more revenue at the end of the year. That's all this is. That's all this represents. So, do I stand behind what Epic is doing, or Apple, or Google? I don't stand behind any of them, because they all are doing something both right and wrong here. And by doing something, I mean they're not in the wrong inherently. There is nothing particularly aggressive about Apple or Google asking for 30% when they're curating, especially Apple specifically. I'll talk about Apple because Google's more of an open platform, but Apple is a curated, trusted environment by users. Apple handles a lot of the transactional side, the legal side, does all manner of shit for that 30%. Do I think it should be 30% still? Fuck no. But they're at least not providing zero right? They're not just asking for 30 because they can. They're at least going out of their way to provide some semblance of service for those that are getting on there and going toe to toe with every other app because they've made it past the curation process. But Epic isn't wrong either. We all praised Epic when they took on Steam and continue to in terms of the cut that they give game developers for releasing on their platform, where Steam also takes 30%. Or some high, it's 20, between 20 and 30% in that neighborhood. Whereas Epic taken a third of that in some instances. Way less. Because they realize that if they take less, one, they're still going to make lots of money for just hosting them on the platform. But two, they're going to allow for more games to be made by these people because they're getting more money back in their pockets to create or keep up the games that they're releasing on these platforms. So I think there is an underlying thing at Epic where they are totally trying to do something right, but they're also in it for their own interests in terms of their own bottom line. And the same goes for Apple and Google. You know, are they overreaching a bit in terms of what they're asking for what they're providing? Yeah, probably. But does that mean that they're wrong for having it in the first place? No. I have no idea how this is going to go. If this actually does go through court and they don't settle outside, I will be very, very intrigued as to what the judge comes to, like what conclusion they're going to come to, because this is a fucking rat's nest of buzzwords and inflammatory shit like monopoly and fucking like, you know, antitrust and anti-consumer and blah, 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 blah. And they're going to be fighting on two fronts. They're going to be fighting it in the EU, who has a totally different outlook on business than North America does. They're far more interested in competition in the EU, whereas the North American market seems to be more interested in the lowest possible price. I saw a good video today comparing what, for example, Amazon was able to accomplish that basically wrote out all competition in ebooks. So now that they're 90% of the fucking market, and that's how it worked in North America, where they didn't get away with that necessarily overseas. So there's a lot of nonsense that's going to have to be waded through here. And really, anyone should only get behind any company that actually practices what they preach and does something for the consumer or does something for the people that they're claiming to be defendant of. Which, until this all settles, whether it's in Epic's favor or not, we don't know if Epic is actually in this, what they're really in it for, if it is partially for the developers and the consumers, or if it's 100% for profit. What do you think?
Oh, profit. I mean, definitely for profit. It's just that they've lined it up to make themselves, to a degree, not look greedy and point the finger at Apple and Google for the ones being greedy. Which is the smartest way to do. It's just deflecting what your real purpose here is, to make more money. And the good thing is Epic now has a track record of helping other developers get more money. So they look like the good guy in this. And let's be real, you know, Apple is the type of company that brings out a new version of their cell phone for a couple $1,000s, you know, every year. And it's well known that, you know, their products are overpriced, and, you know, it's already got this consumer stink around it. So they're just an easy target. So I mean, I think it's a good chess play. But I'm with you. I don't see anybody in the wrong here. I don't see Apple brings a ton of value. I mean, an absolute astronomical value. Is that worth 30%? I would like to think not. I mean, 30% is a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money. It's not like, you know, a Twitch cut where, you know, everything is on their platform and they're doing all of the processing. They're creating the tools and everything that you need to even do what you need to do. This is just one place that you can download the game. And sure, there are a bajillion people that have access to Apple products to buy your game. So it's one of those things. Like, you know, I like you said, I can't get behind either or because I like Apple, I like Google, I like what Epic is doing, even though I don't really play Epic games. I'm just it's more amusing to me than ever than anything. I love seeing all these juggernauts just go at it, and they're all greedy, blood sucking, money hungry fucks, all of them. But like hey, welcome to corporate America, and it's just gonna be funny to see who ends up winning this battle if anything happens.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. Apple's got the biggest money dick, because Apple and Google aren't fighting each other. So, Apple and Google can do this a lot longer than Epic can. I don't give a fuck how much money Epic's got. Bro, Apple and Google can whip their dicks out. They go, oh, this is new money here, bitches. We're old money. And we've got that real old money. And we don't need, more Fortnite versions of the game to make our bajillions, bro. We're gonna be in this for the long haul. We're gonna be like, this is generational business here. Epic has been around for a long time, but they're just in some new real money, like some real big money in the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So we'll see what happens, but let's watch them fight. It'll be interesting. I think it'll settle. I think what's going to happen is I think it'll end up settling before it gets really deep into courts. And I think Apple will and Google will just take a less of a cut. I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. Or Epic can really get crazy, bro, and come out with their own platform to download right on your phones, like on different phones.
Well, they have that already. It's just that that's more available for, let's say, Android. That's what sideloading is. They just had the launcher. And in fact, some phones, and part of what Epic was talking about, for example, with Google saying that sideloading is a thing, is that Google apparently discouraged some phone manufacturers that are making Android phones from allowing or having Fortnite pre-installed on phones at launch. Samsung is one of the few, if only, that I can think of off the top of my head, where they did it with their flagship Note 9. They had it pre-installed. Fortnite was on there because Samsung didn't give a fuck. Samsung didn't care what Google was asking.
Well, you know what? Samsung probably sold phones because of that. You know what I mean?
Well, if you play Fortnite well, it's a big ass. I mean, it's like the same size or bigger than my phone. It's a big ass phone. Good for gaming, right? And you're gonna sell some phones, or you want to be associated with that, right? You get the Note series is usually seen as more of a productivity phone for people. But now you attach Fortnite to it and gaming to it, you open yourself up to a younger market, and that's a big marketing push for them. So, it's a definite rat's nest of virtue signaling and fucking profit seeking and I do not envy the judge if it does get to the court, if it actually goes to court. I do not envy the judge for having to wade through the fucking boatload of documents all sides are going to plant on the desk.
Well, here's the last point is, what Epic is doing right now is they're disrupting a bagillion-dollar industry here. And the reality is it is a big decision for a judge to make, because if Epic wins this, how many other apps are going to go, whoa, I don't want to give up 30%. I'm not giving up 30% now. So this is going to have to just be not only Fortnite, but this is going to be a universal change of some sort if Apple and Google end up taking a hit here. And so that's why I truly believe that they will spend whatever type of money that they need to spend to win this case.
Keep the status quo.
Yeah, because, they fucked this up.
Oh, the precedent changes, and they lose a massive amount of footing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially Apple, because Apple is such a closed environment, development-wise, that if they lose this and it changes to the point where they can't, for example, block apps for being on Apple if they aren't paying or kissing the ring, because that's seen as anti-consumer or too monopolistic of a situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna fuck their business model up
real
pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll wait and see how it all pans out. But make no mistake, as much as you might want to get behind Epic, the fact that they got their lawsuits out as fast as they did and got that video out in like 15 minutes,
they're ready, bro.
This is all orchestrated shit, and they've been working on this for months.
Yep.
And months, and waiting for the appropriate, and struck exactly as they're being investigated by the governments. This is.
Yep.
It's intelligent, but it's
calculated.
fucking snake type shit. But hey.